7 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਓਕ ਕ੍ਰੀਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਸਕਾਂਸਿਨ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਸਿਰਫਿਰੇ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਅੰਨ੍ਹੇਵਾਹ ਗੋਲੀਬਾਰੀ ਕਰਕੇ 6 ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦਿਆਂ ਮੌਤ ਦੇ ਘਾਟ ਉਤਾਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ। 7 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੋਏ ਕਤਲੇਆਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਰੇ ਗਏ ਮਾਸੂਮ ਸਿੱਖ ਸ਼ਰਧਾਲੂਆਂ ਦੀ ਯਾਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿਖੇ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਸਮਾਗਮ ਕਰਵਾਏ ਗਏ। ਇਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੇ ਰਲ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕੀਤਾ। ਵੱਡੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੰਗਤ ਨੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਿਛੜੀਆਂ ਰੂਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਰਧਾਂਜਲੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ। ਇਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਗੋਲੀਬਾਰੀ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਮਾਰੇ ਗਏ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਕ ਮੈਂਬਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਸ਼ਮੂਲੀਅਤ ਕੀਤੀ। ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਟੀਵੀ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜਗਜੀਵਨ ਕੌਰ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਵਿਸਕਾਂਸਿਨ ਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਨਾਲ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਅਤੇ ਵਾਪਰੇ ਦੁਖਾਂਤ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਜਾਣੇ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm Jagjeevan Kaur, and in Oak Creek, Wisconsin today on August 5th, 2019. Today is the 7th year commemoration of the day when a person with white supremacist ties came in and shot people dead and also left a person paralyzed to this day, and really broke up a lot of families and friends, and the Sangat means congregation in Punjabi, left the Sangat really broken here. But the Sangat here is very strong, and in fact we call that Chardhi Kala, the name of our TV station, Chardhi Kala, and we believe strongly in having eternal optimism. And Stephen Scafidi, did I say it right?
You got it right.
Oh, that's great. He became the mayor in 2012, and he was actually the mayor for only 3 months when the shootings happened. That must have been really...
It was a hard time. I mean, I had just become mayor, and no one ever expects something like that to happen. And I got a call one beautiful Sunday morning in August 5th, 2012, that said there's a shooting at the Sikh temple. And the second call I got said that there was people killed. It was a day I'll never forget. And new mayor or an experienced mayor, there's no easy way to figure that stuff out.
No. So you came right over as soon as you heard?
Yeah, I was actually at my garden. I have a large garden, and I had to quickly clean up. Drove myself over. I actually had a hard time getting in because they started to control this scene. And eventually I was able to get in and talk to the police officers, and spent the next probably 9 hours right across the street as we dealt with the immediate aftermath, trying to figure out what happened, talking to family members, members of the temple, just trying to figure out what we knew at that time. But it's a day that for any of us that were involved, we'll absolutely never forget because of the significance of what happened. The fact this is a city that doesn't have murders, right. And on that day, 6 people were killed because of their faith.
In the past less than 300 days, we've had over 250 mass shootings in this country.
Yeah, there's been an acceleration, and it's something that I talk about a lot, is that we need to figure out what's happening. And that year, if you remember, 2012, had the Aurora shooting. Roughly 2 weeks before ours, then Oak Creek, and then followed, of course, by Sandy Hook in December. That trio of mass shootings are some of the most horrific and well-known mass shootings in this country, and that story and that narrative has not changed over the last few years, last 7 years really, because just this weekend we were greeted with the story of a mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio, where more than in combined
29 people this weekend. It was actually 30 people were murdered this weekend. It was we had something in a shooting in Texas and in Ohio, and then there was also another shooting in Chicago, where one person was killed.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately, it's a country now, which I love, but it's a country dealing with trying to figure these things out. Yeah. Why do we have this problem? Why are people reacting in the worst possible fashion? Why are they using guns to kill other people? People that they don't know. These aren't domestic violence situations. These are people walking into places of a retail establishment or a place of worship, and then just randomly killing people they've never met before. That's the shocking thing about it. And that's what makes it hard to figure out.
Yeah, they don't know. I mean, they're taking it. They're writing these manifestos about these things in their heads of reasons why they're doing it, and then they're randomly shooting off their guns at. They don't even know if it's targeting who they think they're even targeting. They're just
it's just random, and
randomly
they're acting out in this fashion, and trying to figure that out is going to be something that all of us in the United States have to do, because we're too great a country not to figure that out. And I think that's what we struggle with.
How do you feel about gun licensing?
You know, I'm in favor of doing whatever it takes to get this figured out. But I'm also a gun owner, and I understand that side of it as well. And we have a Second Amendment that guarantees people that right, but there has to be a balance.
Do you think licensing is a good answer, and to have a license for it?
I think in some ways we already have that in some states, some don't.
Yeah.
See, the problem is there's different laws in different states,
Right.
and we have that irregularity, and we see that can impact. Somebody can buy a gun in another place and take it to a different state and act out. I think consistency would be important.
Yeah, like a federal rule where
Right.
everybody has to have a license, like a
Right.
driver's license.
I think we need to do a better job with background checks. I don't know why someone needs to have thousands of rounds of ammunition. I think that's something we should look at. But we need to start looking at it, because right now all we've done is talk about it, and that's not really helping the situation as, again, these things keep accelerating. It's a bad time.
I know that it's been difficult for me personally, the shootings in New Zealand, and I was one of the unfortunate few that saw the video of that happening, and the shootings in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It really touched me so much, and I had trouble sleeping after those shootings, and I couldn't wait to come here so that I could think about the people in Pittsburgh and the people in New Zealand and the other things that happened since then. And then little did I know that as I was going to be coming here and traveling towards here, there would be more people to die. But I do know that when I get here, it centers me, and that the Sangat here, the community of Oak Creek, always makes me feel better. It centers me. It makes me feel more optimistic, and it gives me hope. And every year, on the 5th year, we had a big commemoration, and that's the first year I met you. I came here, and we had a 5K, 6K run, and there was a big to-do. Everybody spoke, and then the community decided that every year we weren't going to do something. We were going to instead wait and do it every 5 years, and the reason is because they want everybody to go out and do a day of seva, and that means selfless service. That's to go out and to
Help the community.
Yeah, help the community in remembrance of the people who died, to go do something good so that the people don't die in vain, and that something good happens to remember them. So when I come here, I just feel like I just need to be here.
Make a connection, and it never goes away.
Yeah, like I feel I have to be here every year. This
Yeah.
is my home place. I have to be to just connect and remember.
It's a powerful place.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a Sikh to appreciate that.
Yeah.
You walk in, you share their faith by covering your head and taking your shoes off, and
And we share a meal.
and you share it in the Langer Hall where we're at now. It's that shared experience
Yeah.
that I think bonds people, so that when they come there, they're not strangers. They're all part of this extended family, and that's the power of Sikhism. That's why it works so well, and that's why it's becoming much more well known.
Yeah.
Which is, again, you talk about byproducts of what happened. That's a great byproduct. People know Sikhs. They know who they are.
Yeah.
Instead of someone that just looks differently or prays differently. Now they know who they are.
Right. So can we talk a little bit about how the city has recovered? I just feel like I just need to be here. So how do you feel about that? And how do you feel the city has recovered?
I think we have recovered in the way that makes the most sense. We, working with the temple, and not just the temple, but all the places of worship in the city, we came together. Matter of fact, on Saturday there was a cafe event, a cultural event, where we gathered every kind of different group, and we just celebrated. We had dances and music, and it was in a beautiful day, just like it is today, and we shared a sense of community. And one of the reasons I think you feel the way you do when you come here is because despite having a horrible thing happen here, the response since then is overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
And that connection, not just to Oak Creek, but to the country and maybe the world, since there are many people across the world that are of Sikh faith, that's the reason I think that people get so much out of this visit. I've talked to people who have come from all over the world to this Gurdwara, and they tell me they feel that. They can get a sense that we're doing it right here.
Yeah.
But it's a cooperation, it's communication, it's kind of linking arms and saying, this is not acceptable. what can we do about it? And I think that's the reason people feel the way you do. It's just
So when they see people wearing a turban and have a beard, or a woman wearing a turban, they're not scared, or
they shouldn't be.
They're not saying, "Who is that? I don't understand what that means." They understand who we are.
I'll share a quick story. I was in Las Vegas for fun last year, and I saw a gentleman wearing a turban. So I went up and introduced myself, and I told him, well, I was the mayor of Oak Creek. And he goes, oh my God. I think he was from New Jersey. He goes, well, I want to bring some people. So all of a sudden I was surrounded by like 50 people of sick faith, and we just had this great conversation. We took a picture together, and all the way in Las Vegas, that story, that connection was powerful. And then I still keep in touch with some of those people. That bond, because I saw someone with a turban, instead of that scaring me,
Right.
I thought, here's an opportunity to meet somebody that I've never met before. And I think he was a furniture salesman, the first person I talked to. And now I have that bond and that connection.
Yeah.
And it goes wherever I go.
So a lot of times when people see something that they're just not familiar with, they don't know what it is, they just get scared. And one time I had a birthday party, and more than half of the people there were sick, and they had turbans and beards. And then, like a week later, one of the people who was at the birthday party just texted me and said, oh, I'm in a pizza place, and the person in front of me has a turban and beard, and if I didn't go to your birthday party, I wouldn't even understand what that person was all about. And now I know.
Exactly. It's breaking down a barrier that, and this is not unique to Six, it's a lot of people that come from other places. This is still a melting pot
Right.
and a country of immigrants. And by learning and communicating for the first time in whatever the setting is, birthday party or a place of worship or just a gathering in a community, you've broken down that barrier so that whenever you make the next connection or conversation, it doesn't exist anymore. It's a much more friendly meeting. And that's part of the idea, to break down barriers and to establish connections between people that probably never would have had those before. That's the power of what the Sikh Temple in Oak Creek is about now. It's establishing really big connections to a broader community for all the reasons we talked about. Gun violence, just people not accepting each other's faith, all that stuff. This is why I continue to come here year after year after year. It's why I'll never forget the friends that I've made here, because they're part of my life now, and I'll never ever walk away from that.
And on the 5th year commemoration, in one of the speeches, I don't remember who was speaking, they were saying how each of these people did not die in vain, because so many great things happened afterwards, and these are some of the things that happened. And one of the things that happened was Pardeep Kalika and Arno, they got together. Pardeep Kalika's father, Satwant Singh Kalika, died in the shootings, and afterwards he got together with this man named Arno Michaels. Is that his last name? McAllis. And Arno McAllis was part of the founding
Hammerskins, a white supremacist group, and so you have a son of a temple president who was killed in this temple, and a former white supremacist meeting. And now they are like brothers, like close friends.
Yeah.
It shows the power of redemption. And that meeting took place because
he came here and he wanted to say he was sorry. Right?
and then Pardeep wanted to understand why someone would target his community. So they had those original questions, and they became friends, and now they travel around the country, in some cases the world, talking about their story. And
that would have never happened.
No.
And they changed people.
yes, again, I always tell people, horrible tragedy, but it's yielded a lot of positive results. And one of those positive results is a better connection between people, and they're a great example of that.
And I was speaking to Pardeep Kalika's mom, Satpal Kalika, yesterday. She was telling me how, it's very sad, never forget these people. It really is horrible, horrible. But, we have no alternative but to move on and go forward and do positive things and be optimistic. We don't have any choice.
No, the Sikh faith is all about that. They don't act in vengeance. They act with compassion, and I think that's why so many people, once they got to know members of the temple, respect them. Because for a lot of us, myself included, I don't know that I would have been able to respond that way. I may have been angry, and they seem to have found a way through their spirituality to kind of be able to deal with that, and to their credit, they did. And that's why it's such a powerful story. And it's one that should be told.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me.
Well, thank you for coming to Oak